morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to have a look at the top 10 most expensive, most valuable, most sought after, phrase it how you will, cards that are coming around in Shrouded Fable. This is a set that has a bunch of cool cards, so we need to chat about those cool cards. Starting off at number 10, where we've got the illustration rare of Dusknoir. Now, Dusknoir itself is kind of meh. Now, I do enjoy Come and Get You, single energy, put 3 Dusknoir from your discard pile onto your bench, and I enjoy the phenomenal James Turner artwork. It actually makes sense, kind of all 3 in this evolution line and make a little story, and that's lovely. Here's my issue. Dusknoir is not on the list, and I don't really know why. Dusknoir would actually come in at number 14 on the list, below things like Gold Power Glass, Gold Pecharunt, and the illustration rare Munkidori. And the thing is, Dusknoir is great, don't get me wrong, but you can play a different Dusknoir, and a bunch of people do, incidentally, whereas Dusknoir has a really good ability that KOs itself and drops 5 damage counters. So the idea that Dusknoir gets on the list and Dusknoir doesn't is honestly kind of weird to me, because a lot of people are going to be playing the new Dusknoir in their deck, but are going to be going for a different Dusknoir. So the fact that this gets on the list and Dusknoir doesn't, honestly doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. I'm going to nominally put this one at about $23. Do bear in mind the prices are a little bit all over the place at the moment and are subject to change. The set's not been out for very long. So, as always, do make sure you take this with a little bit of a pinch of salt. In at number 9, we've got Dusknoir, which I'm going to be putting at $24. And yeah, this one does make a lot of sense. This one I absolutely get, because of course, this is the full evolution. This is the one that drops 13 damage counters and KOs itself. It is already a staple in Charizard decks, for instance. It is absolutely phenomenal. I love this card. I love the artwork. It is one of the very best cards in the game. Well, in the set, I should say. Could end up being one of the best cards in the game, but certainly one of the best cards in the set. It is absolutely stunning. I adore this card, and it's super playable. Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know. This one earned its place on the list. In at number 8, we've got Houndoom that I am putting at about $25, and this one makes no sense to me, and I don't think this one's going to last. I do think there are a few recent sales which have pushed this one a little bit too high, but there is, as far as I'm concerned, the idea that this is above Dusknoir at the moment, and it is above Dusknoir at the moment, is kind of ridiculous. Because, I mean, look, the artwork is great. Personally, I don't think it's as good as Dusknoir, but I understand that art is inherently subjective, so I can kind of get on board with that a little bit. But my issue here is that Houndoom as a card sucks. No one's playing Houndoom. Houndoom is terrible. A lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, are going to be playing Dusknoir here. As mentioned, it's one of the very best cards in the entire set. So, it's frankly ridiculous that this should be higher. Honestly, I don't agree with it. I don't like this. Never mind, it's not about what I like, it's what about the numbers tell us. In at number 7, we've got ourselves the special illustration rare of Munkidori, which I am going to be putting up at around... Oh, this one's a bit more awkward, isn't it? I'm going to put this one at about $27. Again, the prices at the moment, pinch of salt. You'll notice they are all incredibly close together. But that's just where we are. And as a card, I don't know how I feel about Munkidori. Because the thing is, it is actually seeing play over in Japan. It is a card that is legitimately seeing play over in Japan in Pecharunt decks. Because if you're playing Pecharunt anyway, you're playing Darkness and you're playing all of the Darkness tricks, and this Munkidori can do 190 for free energy, which isn't terrible, and it's a single prize Pokemon with 210 HP. So, in that regard, I'm like, yeah, actually that's not too bad. But I don't think it's a particularly good card, but I understand that people are playing, and I kind of understand why people are playing it, so yeah, that's where we are. In at number 6, we've got the special illustration rare of Pecharunt, which I'm going to put at about $28. Yes, this entire list right now is very, 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 very close together. Sorry, that's just where we are right now. We are in a position where the list is very close together. And Pecharunt, at least, is a very, very, very playable card. It's got a really nice attack for 2 energy that does 60 damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. So if they've taken 5 prize cards, that's 300 damage. That is a lot of damage. It really is a really nice attack in the late game. And it's got an ability that lets you switch a bench Darkness Pokemon with your active and they're poisoned. But that's not the end of the world. We got tricks to play around with that. It's really okay. And honestly, this is a really good card. And we're not really making Pecharunt decks over in Japan right now. But it's one of those things where Darkness decks both now and in the future are probably going to end up playing this at least as a one-off. So I feel like we should probably get on board with this. And we should probably acknowledge that this is a really good card. I'm not a fan of the special illustration rare. It's the least favourite for me in the set. But again, art is subjective. I kind of get it. In at number 5, we've got another one that makes no sense. We've got the illustration rare of Persian, which I'm going to be putting in at about $32. Why? And like this happens every set, okay? Every single set, we take a random illustration rare and decide that it is way more expensive than it should be, and we punch it up much higher value-wise than we would generally expect it to be. Why? I don't know. We just keep doing this. We do it every single set. Why Persian? I mean, look, Persian as a Pokemon is kind of cool. The artwork looking out over the town is lovely. But it's not a good card. Persian isn't exactly some phenomenal Pokemon that is a real fan favourite. And once again, we can do that thing where we go over to Japan and we can see whether this card in Japan is as expensive as we would expect. And the answer here is like a resounding no. Like, it's the joint 5th highest illustration rare in Japan. The joint 5th highest. No, it absolutely should not be this high. There is no reason for this at all. The good news is it is dropping. I expect it to keep dropping. In at number 4, we got the special illustration rare of Okidogi, which is coming in. I'm putting it at about $34. Yes, you may have noticed we've gone from $23 at 10 to $34 at 4. This is a set where the lower end here are very closely grouped together. Persian is still way too high, but I do understand that, this is all going to change over time. I'm just telling you where we are right now. And Okidogi, I mean, look, when I saw this card first time round, I was convinced. I thought this was going to be a great card. I love the idea that for free energy, you can do 260 if you're poisoned, and because of all the new poison tricks, you can build this up to over 300 damage, one-hit KO basically anything. I thought Okidogi was going to be legit, and everything we've seen coming out of Japan and the early online tournaments in the West are telling me that I'm wrong, that Okidogi is actually not that good a card. Fine. Completely understand. But you know what? I still like the special illustration rare. It's still a cute doggo. But then we get to the top 3, and the top 3 have actually really separated themselves out here. There is a very clear top 3, and whereas 10 to 4 are all very bundled up together, the top 3 have separated themselves. In at number 3, we got Earthen Vessel, which I'm putting at $50, and that might be a little bit low. There was $11 between 10 and 4, and 16 between 3 and 4. And like I say, I do think we might be a little bit low here. And what we've got is the gold version of a very, very playable card. We have got the gold version of a card which has seen a huge amount of play already. We already know that it's a great card. You discard a card from your hand, search your deck for 2 basic energy. We already know for a fact that this is a great card. We don't need to be thinking how good is it or any of that rubbish. We know that this card is great. We are 100% sure that this card is great. And now we've got a gold version, which is the best version of it. Yeah, this is an absolute no-brainer in at number 3. In at number 2, we got the special illustration rare of Fezandipiti, which I'm putting at about $70. And here, again, this makes perfect sense. Because what we've got here is the one of the loyal 3, which is actually playable. And honestly, I think this is the best card in the set. I gave you my top 10 from the set the other day. I told you that this was, as far as I was concerned, the very best card in the set. And I mean that, and I stand by that, and nothing has changed. It's a phenomenal card that lets you draw 3 if your opponent took a KO last turn. And actually, it's got the same ability as an old card, an Oricorio, which we know for a fact to be a great card. So the fact that this is number 2, significant, we're already double number 4 here, is not even in the least bit controversial, because we know this card is going to be great. It's already seeing a huge amount of play over in Japan. It's based on an old card that was phenomenal, and it's a special illustration rare. And then in at number 1, we got the special illustration rare of Cassiopeia that I'm putting tentatively in at $95, which it is still too high, let's be clear, but that's where I think we are at the moment, and I honestly feel pretty good about this. In terms of the price right now and where it is, I don't think it should be here. I think it is far too high, but that seems to be where we are right now. And this is the only special illustration rare in the set in terms of supporters. And it is a very popular character. Close your ears, but it's Penny. And it's a pretty good card. Search for any 2 cards as long as it's the only card in your deck. Generally, if it's being played as like a one-off, but it is still seeing play around. And honestly, that's what you need to know. It is a really good card. It is a very nice card that we expect to see some play, but mostly here, it's a popular character, and the artwork here, to be fair, is proper stunning. And it is the most sought-after card in the set. I expect a lot of change as we go through the next few weeks. And certainly, like I say, from 10 to 4, it is very bunched up. Things could change. And right now, we have a very clear top 3, which I don't expect to change. I think those 3 in that order are going to remain there essentially until the end of time. I think we've got a very clear top 3. The rest of the list, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because seriously, I don't know what's going on. Houndoom and Persian are way too high, and it's weird. But I've told you what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. So tell me what you think about all of this in the comment section. Tell me which cards you pulled. Tell me which are your chase cards. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Tamberlin, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.